to another exciting edition of Sport Extraordinary on Atlantic Television Network. My name is Kingsley Emmanuel, and I'm very happy to be here this evening to bring you up to speed with the latest revolving around the world of sport. A lot happened over the weekend, and we're going to take a look at all that happened, of course, over the weekend. And we'll take a look at the Nigerian Premier Football League as we saw some exciting results. Rivers United crashing out from the CAF Confederation Cup, and not forgetting the ever exciting Premier League as well. It's really getting interesting when it has to do with the title race down there in the Premier League. And of course, we'll try most we can, of course, to bring you some results, from the top 5 leagues in Europe. Promises to be an exciting edition of the show. But we'll take a short break now, and when we come back, of course, we'll get straight, of course, to the nitty-gritty of today's edition of the show. Please stay with us. We'll be right back.
With the goal.
Sport Extraordinary.
Yeah, good evening to you, Kingsley, and good evening to our viewers out there. Always a pleasure doing this with you.
Jerry Daniels, of course, joins us this evening after a very long time. Jerry, we're happy to have you.
Well, good evening, Kingsley Manuel, and I'm very happy to be here. I'm very happy to be back in the studio once again, giving you top and exciting stories when it comes to sports. So stay tuned.
Of course, you can trust Jerry when he has to do it, giving you top-notch analysis this evening. But let's take a look at boxing this evening. Steve Nigerian boxing head coach Tony Konyewaji has expressed his displeasure over non-payment of allowances to some of the boxers who won laurels for the country at the 13th African Games in Ghana. Team Nigeria topped the boxing medals table at the games with 8 gold and 2 silver medals, but they have yet to be paid almost 2 weeks after the games ended in Ghana. Michael, what do you make of the cry from the coach of the boxing federation?
Yeah, Kingsley, I tell you, it's not a good one. It's not a good one at all, because I think we should have grown past this kind of complaints, this kind of level. After our sportsmen and women go out there to represent the country, flying the colors of Nigeria very high out there, taking us to the map. Of course, you saw what the boxing contingent of Nigeria did out there. They just concluded all-African game out there in Ghana, where we amassed a total of 10 gold. 10 silverware, which included 8 gold and 2 bronze out there. You expected that the authority should do the needful by making sure they pay them their emolument and entitlement. But then, 2 weeks plus down the line, after they went to proud that we are still hearing about complaints that some of these boxers haven't yet received their camping allowance, emolument and entitlement, all of that. I think for me, it's quite a disappointing one. And of course, that some of these boxers, they have their own needs to cater for. They have their own family. They have things to do with money. But when you get to experience or hear this kind of story, I think it doesn't encourage the upcoming boxers out there, because they're putting a lot to ensure that they take the nation, or they fly the flag of the country very high out there. What do you expect? What do you get in return? Delay after delay of your entitlement. You listen to the sport minister talking about John one or the other day, talking about the fact that they are doing everything possible to ensure that their entitlement is paid to them immediately after the game. But this is 2 weeks down the line. Yeah, we had a complaint that because of the Easter period, the Easter break, and all of that, that central bank were on, on leave, and that is why they could not access their entitlement. But Easter have come and gone, but yet we are still hearing some of these boxers, crying foul. I think for me, it's not speaking well for the boxing federation, neither the sport ministry. So for me, I think we should do the needful by making sure we, pay them their entitlement, so that we also encourage them as well. Because if they are not encouraged, then in our next outing, don't expect some of these boxers to give in their best. They know it fully well. If they, after putting, their life on the line, serving the nation, coming back, they are going to find it very, very difficult to receive their entitlement. Do you expect such a boxer to give in his or her best next time when he's called to duty? Of course, no. So I think we should be able to sort out this issue, so that at least once and for all, so that these boxers can also smile. Don't forget the Paris Olympic Games is by the corner. So if they are being treated this way, what if they get to the Paris Olympic game? What is the assurance that if they go out there to do the country proud, what is the assurance that after the Paris Olympic game they are going to receive their entitlement? So for me, I think it's a sad narrative.
But Jerry, we don't hear this of course, in developed climate. We don't hear this kind of news in developed climate. We've seen, sometimes United States of America, China, Japan, we always see them come down to the Olympics or maybe Commonwealth game or what athletic championship, of course, to participate. We see the athletes come, but at the end of the day, we don't hear anything of the fact that, oh, these are the athletes that have not been paid their allowances or whatever. But it always is looking like a recurring decimal down here in Nigeria, whereby whenever we go for international competition, when we come back, we always complain. The athletes, we see them complain, oh, we're not being paid, or we're not properly taken care of, and all of that. Is it that, we don't take, sports that serious, in the country?
Well, thank you very much for that question. Not that we don't really take sports that precious, or we don't hold it in high esteem. But when you look at senior climbs, they really, really do put in so much in sporting activities that everyone surely gets paid after getting a medal. Even when you don't get a medal, but for participation, you surely get something to augment and to cushion the effect of your training grounds, your late night. But in Nigeria, it seems that the welfare of these athletes are not being considered to a fault, because if a contestant or an athlete goes out there and get 10 silver, 10 medals, 8 gold and 2 silver, that is something to take home about. So you should as well remunerate this person unequivocally, because this person has spent late nights, this person has surely impacted his or her game and has raised the bar when it comes to sporting activities in this clan, and has made sure that he has done the country proud. So at the long run, if you don't give this person what he or she should benefit from their activity, I don't think that in the next game, the Paris 2024 Olympic is just by the corner. So in a situation whereby you don't give these people what they actually deserve, do you think they will go out in the next competition to actually raise the bar or put Nigeria on the world map? Definitely no. They are crying foul, and it's not something for the most populous black nation on the African continent to continue with, because it doesn't spell good for us. It shows how black and how corruption has eaten into the fabric of the nation, and as well eaten into the fabric of sports in Nigeria.
Michael, are there solutions? Like I mentioned, it's not the first time we're hearing this, whereby our athletes will go out there to participate and they come back, we don't give them their entitlement. I believe some time ago we've seen, like even the football teams, the national football teams, Super Falcons of Nigeria, the FIFA World Cup, of course, they participated the last time. We heard a lot from the players that they won't play if they don't pay their match bonuses of the African Cup of Nations they played last time. Even when they get down to the World Cup, it was a very huge issue when it has to do with the match bonuses, because of the increments in terms of match bonuses and the prize money, for the World Cup as well. A lot, even from the Super Eagles, from the athletic federations as well. Do you think, are there solutions to curb all of this, issue happening in sport down here in Nigeria?
Definitely, Kingsley. Of course, there are solutions to stem the tide of this ugly trend. There are many solutions. Of course, it starts from the head out there, talking about the sport minister, who I think for me meant well for the development of sport. Of course, if you want to actually develop sport, you need to do the needful, which is by making sure you reward these sportmen and women handsomely, not just rewarding them, but making sure that the simple task of giving them their emolument is done before you talk about the other reward system, maybe trying to give them something to spice them up, maybe in next competition. Of course, there are solutions to it. It boils down to political will. The men and women that have in place of authority, call it maybe in the boxing federation, for instance. Hence, we are talking about not just the boxing athletes are complaining. There are other people complaining as well, of not received their entitlement. Of course, for me, I think the sport minister, in fact, should be at the vocal point of solving this problem.
Because I get worried, because when the budget, of course, is being made, there are certain amounts of money being budgeted for sports, for the running of sports, of course, in the country. All of these things not put in place. Why are they having issues in paying these athletes, of course, their allowances and all of that?
It's a big question that the people in authority need to answer, because for me, I think this year's budgeting alone, I think about 30 billion naira was budgeted for sports alone, and we have about 32 to 35 different sport ministries, but then if you divide that 30 billion naira into about 32 to 33 sporting federation, how far can it go? But then that is outside of the equation. The truth is this: outside the monetary budget for sports this year, does it mean that our sporting arena does not have any other source of generating internal income other than depending from the purse of the federal government? Of course they are. Some of these sports, whether basketball, football, taekwondo, boxing, there are sport lovers who want to put their money in there. They are philanthropists. They get to strike deal with some certain companies and brands out there. There are ways that should generate income for themselves. But then, even if they have not generated income from these areas, the budgetary allocation located for the sport ministry alone, is it not enough to take care of the athletes? Of course it is. And so for me, we begin to ask the question, where is the money? Of course, you need to hold the people responsible, and that boils down to the table of the sport minister, because every sporting head or unit is answerable to the sport minister. And so I think for me, the sport minister should be able to call all the different, strata, all the organograms of the sporting units, their head, and ask them, what is the reason why such persons have not received their emolument? And they need to answer for it, because certainly money was budgeted. Did the money develop wing and fly overnight? Why they are complaining? So these are things we shouldn't be talking on air, because it's an embarrassment to us. We've come a long way as a giant of Africa. There is need for us to stem the tide of this ugly trend. If not, I tell you, our sporting activity will continue to go down the drain. And of course, Egypt and the rest of the North African countries and other world is going to leave us behind in terms of sport development.
All right, so let's keep our fingers crossed and hope that the boxers, of course, will be paid their allowances in the coming days. And we pray that things like this, of course, do not happen anymore in the country. But let's take our eyes away from that as we take a look at the Formula One event we saw over the weekend. That's the Japanese Grand Prix, as Max Verstappen returned to winning ways to head a resounding Red Bull 1-2 in Japanese Grand Prix that was restarted after a big first lap crash involving Daniel Ricciardo and Alex Albon. A fortnight after suffering a shock-force race retirement in 2 years in Australia, a race won by Ferrari Carlos Sainz, Verstappen hits back in dominant style at Suzuka with the world champion beating teammate Checo Perez by 12 seconds, of course, to get that one once again. Max Verstappen looking unstoppable this season.
Yes, so congratulations to Max, and he has really been on top of his game. He has really proven to himself that irrespective of the crashes out, the setbacks, he has been able to come up with a win with Red Bull as his parent club. One very funny thing about this lad is that Verstappen has competed with so many names, so many names, and he has been able to be on top of his game year in, year out. We look at the likes of Lewis Hamilton. He has competed with him favorably. So over time, Max has been able to come up with this very good and favorable result to him over his compatriots. And when you look at his compatriots, they are no small feat. They are always on top of their game. But when you look at it, Verstappen always gets the shot. So congratulations to him.
Congratulations, of course, for Max Verstappen for putting up that huge dominance once again. But Michael, what do you make of it? Is the Formula One looking boring now with just Max Verstappen dominating, all through?
For me, I think
though we still have more races this year.
Of course they are.
But from what we're seeing, Ferrari is not looking that very competitive. Mercedes is also not looking very competitive. From what we're seeing at this point in time, and we're not even looking at other constructors that will really come up to challenge Red Bull from what we're seeing at this point.
No, not at all. I think the closest is McLaren, who has finished third in the podium so far after these 3 races. Of course, that temporary setback from Max Verstappen in the last race before this very one actually allowed McLaren to take first in that very one. If not, he should have finished third on the podium. But then that is the only driver that I see that can be able to at least make an inch of challenge against Max Verstappen. But I tell you, the disparity between the quality, the speed, and the maneuvering of Verstappen is on a high note. I mean, Max Verstappen is on a world of its own. It's just Max Verstappen and the rest of the drivers as it stands right now. But then, is it surprising to me? No, because of course, talent do come and go. People do come to grace the occasion and make it worldwide. We've had names such as Lewis Hamilton in his A-days. We've also had Michael Schumacher. He dominated, the circuit over the years. Nobody heard a bad complaint here and there. Of course, this is the time for Max Verstappen, and you can't actually take it away from him. Even the chief principal of Mercedes has admitted to this, talking about Toto Wolff. He said this immediately that race over the weekend, that Max Verstappen is a driver that nobody can match. Before you see a team principal, Toto Wolff of Mercedes, coming to make such a ambiguous statement in the media, he clearly tells you that they have already given up on competing at the highest level. Of course, their engine is another problem. And that is why, Hamilton have decided that at the end of this season, 2025, is joining, another company out there, talking about Ferrari, to see if he can be able to match up with Max Verstappen. But I tell you, if not that temporary setback in the last race before this very one, I tell you, it should have been Verstappen, and Verstappen. So as it stands right now, nobody comes close to him except his teammate, who is trying his best to ensure that at least he catch up, with him. But then I tell you, it's going to be Max Verstappen and Red Bull again this season.
Michael talked about giving up, Jerry, and one man who is looking as if he's giving up is Lewis Hamilton. He finished 9th, of course, in this Japanese Grand Prix. I don't know what you make of Lewis Hamilton. It is 2 seasons now. The man has not been able to win a race. This is, of course, his last season with Mercedes. You see him finishing the season without winning a race as well?
Yeah, there are, just like you said earlier, there are also other more races in which Lewis Hamilton can also partake in and as well come up with score points. But will I say age is telling on Lewis?
Age? Is age really a factor?
To an extent, when you talk about maneuvering and skill and tactics, age now comes in. Well, Max is a younger person to Lewis. So when you look at it, I would say age contributes, but vehemently we'll talk about the engines. When we talk about Mercedes, they have not really been top-notch, where Toto Wolff has already admitted that Max is a better driver. But they need to work on the engines too if they want to catch up with Max. So for me, that's why Lewis is also opting out of it to join Ferrari. Because when you look at the engines, they are not really giving the result in which you want. But for me, I really do think that if Lewis can as well move to another vehicle company, I think he can actually get the result in which he wants. But the engine can be a factor here.
Yeah, but until then, Michael, we're talking about him winning a race this season before leaving
Mercedes.
It's so abysmal that for the past 2 seasons, Lewis Hamilton has been unable to win a race. You know, a driver like Lewis Hamilton, of course, you will say, for 2 seasons, he's been unable to win a race. This is going to be his last season with Mercedes. Will he also leave without winning one for himself?
Of course, it's looking very, very likely, Kingsley. Let's just tell ourselves the truth. It's looking very, very likely. 2 years down the line, he's unable to make a very strong statement out there. I think for me, no doubt, because when he made the big announcement that he was leaving to Ferrari, I actually was one of those who actually cheered, his determination to move on. But then he has already stated as a matter of fact that he's going to give his all for the Mercedes this season before he leaves. So I think he wants to leave on a high note. But then, leaving on a high note, what does it take for you to leave on a high note? It takes you winning 1 or 2 races, before you can truly beat your chest and say, yes, I've done all that I need to do for a Mercedes, and I'm leaving the stage right now. But looking at the engine of Mercedes, you will agree with me that it will be very, very difficult. It will be like a mountain hill for Hamilton to climb, trying to finish the race this season by making sure he win 1 or 2. I tell you, it's going to be very, very difficult. Since the start of, late last year, in the Grand Prix, I think he has finished within 6, 7, 8, and 9. In fact, the worst of it all so far this season, he has finished 9th in the 4 races that took place. It tells you there is a low in quality, there is a low in confidence. Jerry talked about age. I want to completely disagree. It is not age. Take that same Hamilton and give him this Red Bull car. My brother, you are going to see the best of Hamilton.
True.
Take Max Verstappen down to Mercedes. I tell you, you will not remember that this is the same Max Verstappen that we are eulogizing today. So I think for me, it's just about the engine. But I tell you, I do not see Lewis Hamilton winning any race this season because of their poor engine, and we must admit that.
That would be a very, very disappointing one, and a disappointing end as well. It will be for him this season if he ends that way. Definitely,
it will be a disappointing one, but for me, I think he has done his best. Even Toto Wolff, the chief principal of Mercedes, have already admitted that they have never in any day pointed accusing finger against him. Maybe lack of seriousness, lack of dedication, just because he want to move next year and all of that. He has been very, very professional, in the way he's going about Mercedes and his contract. They're coming to the media to tell the world that he's ready to fight with the last drop of his blood to ensure that he lives on a very high note. It tells you of a man that is very committed, to the team that he drives for. But for me, I just think that the engine of Mercedes need to be totally overhauled, totally upgraded if they want to keep pace with Red Bull. If not, I tell you, this might possibly just be the collapse and the end of Mercedes.
All right, so let's just bring you the rundown as it ended down there, the Japanese Grand Prix. Max Verstappen came first, Sergio Perez second, Carlos Sainz came third, Charles Leclerc fourth, Lando Norris came fifth, Fernando Alonso sixth, and of course we saw George Russell coming seventh, Oscar Piastri taking the 8th position. Lewis Hamilton would take the finish 9th, and Yonko Tsunoda taking the 10th position down there. But away from that, let's talk tennis, as Matteo Berrettini beat Roberto Gabeles in straight sets to win the first title. To win the first title in almost 2 years. The Italian eased past his Spanish opponent with a 7-5, 6-2 victory at the Grand Prix Hassan in the Moroccan city of Marrakesh. It was Berrettini's first title since his win at Queen's Club in June 2022. The tournament was just his 13th returning from an ankle injury which kept him sidelined for 6 months. The 27-year-old dropped just 2 sets during the tournament. Jerry Berrettini coming back from injury and being able to take a title for himself.
Yes, a very, very convincing one for him. And one intriguing and interesting part of it all is that when you're back from injury, you're able to get your feet and also take a snatch a title of a contender, because when you're back from injury, it's assumed that you've lost a lot of form and you need time to regain your strength and get back on track. But at this point in time, he has been able to get on track very quickly and keep on with the pace and snatching a victory. It really shows well for Berrettini.
Matteo Berrettini, of course, getting something for himself after returning from injury. Elsewhere, Hubert Hukes won his first ATP title in the season with a 6-4, 6-4 victory against Pedro Martinez at the Extra Open in Portugal. The world number 10 wins his 8th ATP title of his career and his fourth on clay. But away from that, let's take a look at the female category as Danielle Collins reached form in what will be her final season continues as she beat Russia Daria Kazatkina 6-2, 6-1 to win the Charleston Open. Michael, it's been a back-to-back victory for Danielle Collins.
Yes, of course. I think it's an impressive one for her. The total dominance and a clinical finish from her there, and of course, winning the Miami Open and also winning this very one. It tells you of a player that wants to leave high note. We talked about Hamilton trying to live on a very high note in the Formula One. This is another replica of that. What we talked about. If Hamilton can actually leave the stage on a very high note, I think Collins is trying to live on a very high note, knowing fully well, according to her, when she made a big announcement early this year that she will be calling it quit after this year, to take care of some certain issues there which are personal to her. I think for me, she wants to live on a high note, and this is the way to go for me. She has also not also winning and taking up the point that is at stake, but she has also enlarged her bank account right now that can be able to take care of her maternity leave that she's about to embark on and all of that. So for me, I think it's a great one for her. Let's hope that she can continue to keep her foot on the pedal, because there are other tournaments that is still coming around. If she get to maybe win one or two to add to what she has won already, I think she will be living on a very high note.
All right, impressive form so far for Danielle Collins. We'll see how far, of course, she will go with this particular one. But at this point, we'll take a short break, and we will come back from this break. We'll bring you all that happened about the weekend in the Nigerian Premier Football League. Please stay with us. We'll be right back.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring all sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economic, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today. On 18. ocean to the land beyond the mountains. From the Sahara, we bring all the news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries on the happenings of fact around 18.
Welcome back as the Sports Extraordinary on Atlantic Television Network. It's time to bring you the latest from football, and we start with the Nigerian Premier Football League. We saw some interesting results over the weekend as Plateau United beat Doma United by 4-0, and Remo Stars beat Akwa United by 2-1. Enugu Rangers lost to Katsina United 4-3. It did in that particular encounter, and their 10 games of beating run, of course, came to an end after that particular defeat. Niger Tornadoes Pumed Kobe United by 5-0. Lobby Stars beat Enyimba Football Club by 1-0, and the Heartland FC, they got another win, this time against Sporting Lagos. It ended 3-1 in that particular encounter. Sunshine Stars played out a 1 draw against Bayelsa United. Kwara United, of course, they drew against Benden Charlotte, ended in a 1-0 draw yesterday. And today we saw an exciting encounter, and of course was a very huge victory for Shooting Stars as they got an away victory against Kano Pillars, 2-1. It ended in that particular encounter. But Jerry, let's talk about the league leaders, Enugu Rangers. Katsina United bringing the unbeaten record to an end, 4-3. It ended in that particular encounter in favor of Katsina United.
Well, congratulations to Katsina United and also Enugu Rangers, whose 10 games unbeaten streak actually came to a halt by Katsina United at the Muhammadu Diko Stadium. When you look at this Enugu Rangers team, they have really performed impressively well, and look at the last 10 games, they have won 8 of them and they drew 2. The last time they lost the game was against Akwa United, that was in January, but up until this time they have won 8 games out of 10. So congratulations to Katsina United for pulling a very strong victory against Enugu Rangers. But one thing is that class is permanent. When you look at it, class is permanent. So Enugu Rangers, if they get hold of the NPFL trophy at the end of the season, no surprises. They have really got to prove themselves to that.
Despite the defeat, Enugu Rangers are still in the title race. But Michael, what do you make of it? Lobby Stars against the Enyimba Football Club. Lobby Stars, of course, were able to take all 3 points down there at Makodi.
For me, I think it's not a good result for Enyimba, because fighting for the league when you have Enugu Rangers who is topping the league, dropping points, you expected Enyimba, to get all 3 points so as to consolidate themselves on the log while fighting for the league, title as well. But then I think their opponent is also making a strong statement for themselves because they want to finish very high as well. After Enyimba pummeled this same Kano Pillar 5-0, you expected them to build on that, confidence going forward. But for me, I think this is the beauty of the league. After winning your last game 5-0 against a very strong Kano Pillar side, going away to play a team that is less fancied in quotes, you get to drop all 3 points, not just picking even a single point.
They've been fantastic.
They've been fantastic.
They are even contending for the title.
Yes, they've been fantastic, no doubt. But in their last 3 games, they have not shown that consistency, and that is why I thought that Enyimba was going to get the better of Lobby Star. But then, like I was saying, this is the beauty of the league, where you are seeing team, jostling for the title, seeing big team, being tamed down away, and all of that. I think it keeps the league very, very competitive. It keeps them very, very, very tight out there, because as we are seeing, looking at the table right now, is very, very tight. With Enugu Rangers gunning for the title, Lobby Stars also in the mix, Plateau United also in the mix, Enyimba, even Shooting Stars as well. They are also in the mix, trying to get a continental finish out there. So I think for me, this has been one of the most exciting and most intriguing league for a quite long time. Looking at the table right now, you see that the point disparity between Enugu Rangers that is topping right now and the rest 5 teams that is coming after them is very, very slim. And for me, it's going to be see an exciting end to the NPFL League this season.
After 4 match days, Jerry, Christian Obi got another victory for Heartland. This time against Sporting Lagos. 3-1 ended in favor of Heartland.
Well, when you look at this Heartland team, can they really continue with this victory? They don't really performed up to expectation recently, if I'm not mistaken. So, can they really pull this one up, get their steam from the 3-1 win against Sporting Lagos? So, for me, I really do think no, because this team has really gone down. They are not really able to get the result in which they needed. So, I think a little bit of luck applied to them when they faced Sporting Lagos, and let's see if they can replicate it in the next 4 games.
Sweet victory, you will say, Michael, for Shooting Stars today, because they got an away point. 3 points to say against Kano Pillars.
Good one for the Gumbote-led side.
2-1.
Yeah, good one for the Gumbote-led side. I think for me, it's a good one for them because because of this 3 point, I think they are also in the mix for continental, ticket. But then let's see if they can be able to, also pick it up from here in their next game. But then I think for me, the coach talking about Benga Gumbote, he has done an incredible job so far this season. Looking at how they started the league, they did not start the league in a very good fashion. So nobody actually gave them a chance to even, contend for continental slot this season. But then the coach has been able to tinker the team around, try to get the best out of the players that he has. They have a couple of injuries as well. About 2 or 3 of their key players is out injured. The coach talked about that a few days ago, but then he said he was going to find a solution that is not going to be an excuse for him. And that is a coach that takes responsibility, and not like Eric Ten Hag or even Christian Obi, that whenever he get to lose a game, then he now shift the blame to the players or to the media or to the referee, officiators and all of that. So I think for me, it has been a wonderful one for Benga Ogubote.
Disappointing outing for Rivers United over the weekend in the CAF Confederation Cup. They lost to USM Algiers down there in Algeria, 2-0, Jerry. What do you make of this disappointing performance if you see for Rivers United?
Very, very disappointing performance in Algeria. The Algerian-based club actually happened to pull 2 goals to extricate themselves from the 1-goal deficit they had when they came to Nigeria. But the funny thing is that I would say Rivers United did not do well enough when they played on home soil. They needed to come up with an emphatic win so that when they go away, they will be able to as well. If it's a draw, they qualify. Because if they had an emphatic win of 3-0 or 4-0 before the Algiers team would as well pull out those goals, I think they would as well come up with something to cushion. But at the long run, they won just 1-0, and the Algiers team with the Malian striker talking about Kano had to pull 2 goals to extricate the Algiers team out to qualify to the next level. So the emphatic win was lacking by the Rivers United team, and consequently we have crashed out. Just like last season, we crashed out of this the quarterfinals.
Yes.
Right? And this season now we are crashing out of the quarterfinals. So there is still much more job for Rivers United, the back row team, the technical advisors to do so that we can go past this level in every Confederations Cup.
Michael, we hear of absence of video assistant referee in that particular encounter, and a lot of Nigerians are not happy. But I really want to ask, the absence of VAR, did it contribute to that loss for Rivers United?
For me, I think we always find a way to try to hang our blame somewhere, somehow, whenever we get it wrong out there. I think for me, in as much as I don't want to go into the internal politicking about not using the VR. According to reports, they say CAF has already sent those VR materials and equipment 5 days before now, and it got stuck at the border, or rather at the wharf of the Algerian this thing out there, and that is the reason why they could not deploy it. For me, an equipment was sent 5 days before such a crucial game, and you were unable to clear it at the wharf. I think it's just one of those antics that the North African plays to ensure that they, demoralize their opponent, psychologically, even before the, the blast of the whistle. But then, like I said earlier, I do not want to, focus more on what actually happened behind the, field. What I am concerned is about what do we do on the pitch of play? Did we score a goal and such a goal was disallowed? Of course no. So I don't want to use that as an excuse. It's just that Rivers United, they were not good enough, and we actually shot ourselves on the foot in the first leg. We had lots and lots of chances in the first leg here in Uyo to have doubled our advantage, possibly make it 3-4 goals to nothing. That should have given us a better advantage going away. Then expect the unexpected, and then we can go there and fight for a point or even try to score a goal. Even if we get to lose 2-1, then we are going to bank on the advantage that we've gotten a convincing result at home first before going away. And of course, looking at the history of Nigerian club side against the North African clubs, it's always a different kettle of fish altogether. The North African clubs, they always had the better of the Nigerian clubs out here. So for me, I'm not surprised. I predicted it the moment we played that slim goal victory here in Uyo. I said that is the end of the road for Rivers United. Some person thought maybe I was being pessimistic and all of that, but then we have to face the reality. Were we good on a day? Of course no. The game plan of the Algerians was to come here and keep the scoreline very minimal, and that is what they did. They go back home and finish the job, and that is what they did. So for me, I don't want to talk about the issue of not deploying the VAR and all of that as the reason or yardstick for Rivers United losing the game. Don't forget, they were up against the defending champion. Yeah. So it takes a lot for you to be able to, host the defending champion. And of course, do we have the quality to do that? We did not. Because if we had, we should have been able to get more than 2 goals here at home before going away to contend for a draw or even go goal or whatever. So for me, I think I predicted it before now that is going to be the end of the road. But the question now is, what is the way forward for Nigerian clubs, when it has to do with CAF organized competition? Because over the years, we have been playing the 4th fiddle, not even 2nd fiddle. So for me, I think it is an issue that the NPFL board need to look at, because the performance of Nigerian clubs out there in any CAF organized competition is a clear reflection of how quality our league is. And if our league is not that quality enough, you cannot go out there and think you want to go and compete with clubs from the North Africa that is more organized. So what is the way forward? Our league need to be up and doing.
All right, Nigeria league needs to be up and doing. But what next as well for Rivers United? Of course, they have to come back and fight out to survive relegation, because where they are now, they are 17th on the log.
No, they still have like 5 outstanding games.
They still have about 5 outstanding games. We hope they will be able to, of course, win those outstanding games, and then get a favorable result, of course, at the end of the season. But let's take a trip now to England as we take a look at some of the fixtures we saw in the Premier League over the weekend. Manchester United played 2-2 draw against Liverpool. Sheffield United played 2-2 draw as well against Chelsea. Tottenham Hotspur beats Nottingham Forest by 3-1, and Crystal Palace lost to Manchester City by 4-2. Everton beat Burnley by 1-0. Fulham lost to Newcastle United by 1-0, and Luton Town beat Bournemouth by 1-0. And Wolverhampton Wanderers, of course, lost to West Ham United by 2-1. Brighton and Hove Albion, of course, were beaten by Arsenal Football Club 3-0 in that particular encounter. But let's take a look at that game, Manchester United Liverpool. Jerry, what do you make of that encounter? Let us go straight to that controversial penalty that gave Liverpool that 1 point in that game. A lot of calls from Manchester United fans that particular decision from Anthony Taylor was wrong. I don't know if you buy into that.
Well, that's call by Anthony Taylor was actually right to an extent. When you look at the contact made by Wan-Bissaka and the Liverpool midfield, talking about Harvey Elliott, you really understand that was a technical foul, but it did not go down well with Wan-Bissaka, because the right foot of Harvey Elliott was caught by Aaron Wan-Bissaka. But that was on the side of Harvey Elliott. I think that was done on purpose, so he could as well win the penalty in the box, because that was actually a foul, because Wan-Bissaka did not get the ball. At the long run, he got the right foot off Harvey Elliott, which was intentional. So the call by Anthony Taylor for a penalty was the right decision he made. Well, the VAR actually looked at it, but Anthony Taylor actually stood on his decision and actually awarded the penalty to Liverpool.
Anthony Taylor, of course, putting up his dominance and authority as a center referee, Michael. I don't know if you have any opinion or any view of his decision.
Well, for me, I think I want to differ from the position of Jerry. I think it wasn't a penalty. Elliott driving down inside the 18-yard box of Manchester United. Yeah, there come Wan-Bissaka with a force trying to clear off the ball. He did not get the ball. Neither did he get the foot of Elliott. Don't forget, Elliott was, gone off balance immediately that tackle. But there was no contact. Though Wan-Bissaka did not have contact with the ball, neither did he have contact with the left foot of Harvey Elliott, which was his very stronger foot, while on the ball. Now he missed the ball and he was already going down before he has to use his right foot to commit Wan-Bissaka. So in other way, I think Elliott was very, very smart enough. After losing balance, knowing fully well that he cannot get to the ball again, the next thing for him was to think very, very fast, thereby using his right foot to commit Wan-Bissaka, who had no contact with him in his left foot. So for me, one will call to question the last World Cup that took place. Are you aware that no English referee stood in as VAR officials? Are you aware? Possibly you are not aware, but this is one of the league that people crave to watch. One of the most exciting league in the world. But is it not surprising that not even a single VAR official was picked in the World Cup to be behind the room for the VAR officiating? These are some of the controversies that makes it look very difficult. And over the years, English referee has been avoided whenever the World Cups come close because of their penchant for controversial call. You saw that in the early season where it happened to Liverpool. What happened? They came back to apologize. After apologizing, they took the 3 points away and give back to Liverpool. Of course, no. If that decision has stood, maybe after the apology, they took back the 3 points and give to Liverpool. Maybe by now, Liverpool will still be topping the league and not Arsenal. Then again, it also happens to Arsenal. Mikel Arteta complained a lot. He had to use some, printed word, though they had to, overlook it, but they cautioned him. It has been happening, this controversial. So if you take a look at that officiating, for me, I think it wasn't a penalty. And one will ask, why is it that the VAR was not used for us to see it in different angles? Because in La Liga, Ligue 1, even Bundesliga, when such incident happen, the referee take time. They have to pause. It doesn't matter whether it takes them 2 minutes or 3 minutes, but so long as they get the judgment correct, it doesn't matter. That is what they do in other leagues. But you discover in the EPL, that yesterday game, they did not review it from different angles so that you, who is watching, can have the luxury of time to say, yes, this was foul and this was not foul. Anthony Taylor stood his ground. He refused to go to the side monitor. So for me, I think it wasn't
Anthony
a penalty.
Taylor was certainly definite about his action, about his decision when you look at the foul. Just like you concord indirectly to what I said earlier. You see, it was a technical foul by Wan-Bissaka, but he did not come out well with him, not go down well with him, because Harvey Elliott actually took his foot towards Wan-Bissaka and he was brought down. Harvey Elliott is a left footer, a strong left footer. He moved the ball away from Wan-Bissaka. The next thing was, he found out that he has lost the ball, so he decided to stick his foot under that of Wan-Bissaka, and he knows that Wan-Bissaka will surely bring him down, because you know when you go in for a challenge, you go in with all your strength, and it's very impossible to an extent to retreat back at that juncture because of the force in which you have put in. So at this juncture, Harvey Elliott actually knew what to do. He went down, knowing fully well Anthony Taylor will give a penalty, and this decision was made. If reverse were to be the case, I think Harvey Elliott will be yellow carded for that decision and will be called diving. So Anthony Taylor actually.
For me, I think that that was diving, which truly deserved yellow card, but the ref didn't even bother. But the angle I'm a little bit skeptical about the decision. On what actually influenced the decision to stand was that you discover that no Manchester United player protested, unlike the chief complainer himself, talking about Fernandes. He didn't even complain. Neither did the man who committed what he said or alleged to be the foul protested, talking about Wan-Bissaka. Everybody just went cool. So for me, I think that is the reason why the referee just allowed everything, because normally, Fernandes, at every given point in time. But in that one, he did not complain. Neither did any Manchester United player went to the referee, because there is a way some players will codedly go to the ref and lodge their complaint. You will discover the ref will have a rethink of going to the monitor to actually watch by himself. But none of that happened. So I think that is where Manchester United players got it wrong.
All right, I think we'll call it to wrap up this point. A lot, of course, to look at for this weekend, but Manchester United and Liverpool, controversial penalty has taken our time, but tomorrow will be another time. 6 p.m. Sport Extraordinary, of course, will come your way, but before then, 7 a.m. Sports Talk, of course, will come your way. We'll have a lot, of course, to discuss. So do want to join us at the promises to be another exciting time talking sports on Atlantic Television Network. But I must give kudos to Jerry for putting up some incisive analysis this evening.
Thank you.
Michael, always an impressive time.
Always a good time doing this with you.
All right, don't forget, Peace and Unity is the pathways to progress. You can go down to different social media handles. Of course, the conversation continues right there. My name is Kingsley Manuel. Thanks for watching.